Hey there, I'm Rich Bruck, and you've just tuned into Tuning Down for Terror. I've spent a lot of my life on the road, dive bars, theaters, backs of vans at 3 a.m., playing guitar and watching the world roll by at 70 miles an hour. Most of my stories are the usual road tales. Bad sound checks, worse hotel rooms, and the occasional bar fight, but some of them don't have explanations. And they're the ones that stick with you long after the amp's been turned off and the lights go down. So welcome. Grab your headphones, settle in, and let's tune down for terror. Because if the road has taught me anything, it's that the strangest gigs are the ones you never forget. Every guitarist who plays an electric guitar, anyway, knows the sound of feedback, that high screaming whine you get when the amp is too loud or if you stand too close. It's part of the sound. It's a controlled chaos that you learn to manage. Well, this happened during a sound check for a show in some city. I can't remember at the moment, but it was one of those old ornate theaters that felt heavy with history. I was alone on the stage, checking my sound. My bandmates were out getting a coffee. I was running a clean mid-level tone, no distortion, no fuzz, and I was standing in the sweet spot on the stage where feedback really shouldn't have been possible, but I heard it. A faint, high-pitched whine starting up. I thought, okay, maybe it's a cable issue, so I stopped playing and I muted my guitar, and the whine stopped immediately. So I unmuted, and nothing. So I started playing again, just a simple little riff, and the sound came back. Only this time a little higher and a little louder, almost like a faint scream, really. I walked back to my amp, checking all the settings. Everything was fine. No effects were on or anything like that. And the sound wasn't coming from my amp speaker. It felt more like it was coming from the center of the stage. Maybe from the main house speakers, but my rig was the only thing that was turned on. So I asked the sound guy, hey, are you hearing this high whine? And he swore that the house system was muted and it wasn't coming through the board. I was the only one hearing it. I decided to test it. I took my hands off the guitar and I stepped away from the stage. The guitar was muted. It was silent, but the feedback didn't stop. It started to crescendo. Not the electronic squeal I knew, but a raw, sharp, vibrating pitch that seemed to physically kind of hurt my ears. It was so loud, I actually had to clamp my hands over my ears. It wasn't electronic, it was acoustic. It was a sound of pure, unbridled sonic pain being projected into the empty theater. It wasn't the sound of my gear failing. It felt like the sound of pure sonic energy just breaking down. I looked down and saw my guitar strings, and they were vibrating very rapidly, even though I hadn't touched them. Whatever was in that room was responding to my music, but instead of applauding, it was responding with its own terrifying note. The moment I ran back and physically unplugged the guitar cable from the pedal board, the sound cut dead. The theater was instantly silent. I never played in that spot on the stage again. It taught me that sometimes the sounds you make don't just echo off the walls. They wake something up that wants to sing a much louder, more terrifying song. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell a story about a time teaching and an unseen observer in the lesson room. Welcome back to Tuning Down for Terror. You've tuned in to the sounds of the open road, the lonely miles that give you time to think and sometimes time to worry. For years, teaching private guitar students was one of the most fulfilling parts of my week. It's a very intimate relationship. You're helping someone through technical challenges and personal insecurities and, sometimes even life itself. My lesson room was small and soundproof and secure. It was always just me and the student. This started with a long-time student that I've had, a nervous but talented young guy named Marcus. About 3 years ago, he started complaining, not about the lesson, but about the room. He'd pause and he'd look past my shoulder into the corner and ask, "Rich, who's in the room?" And I would tell him, "Nobody. It's just you and me." But he would insist that he saw a shadow or a reflection. But he was always the only one who ever saw it. I brushed it off as nerves or imagination until I was there alone one night, preparing some charts. I was very focused on my work, but I started to feel that familiar, prickly sensation on the back of my neck. Not a physical presence, but the absolute cold certainty of being watched. I tested it. I turned around really quickly, and the feeling would momentarily just snap away. When I looked at the dark wood cabinet in the corner, I swear the glass looked darker than it should have, like something was standing right behind it. The final straw came during a lesson with a different student, a quiet young woman named Sarah. And we were working on a difficult fingering thing, and I turned to write a note on the whiteboard. My back was to the room for maybe 10 seconds, and when I turned back, Sarah was staring wide-eyed at her case. Her guitar pick, which had been resting securely on top of the case lid, was now inside the sound hole of her guitar. Nobody was near it. We both looked at each other, and in that instant, we both felt that cold weight of an unseen observer. Sarah leaned in and she whispered, "It doesn't want us to play that part right now." I never had another student complain, but I never really got rid of that feeling either. I think that being a teacher means opening yourself up to help others, but sometimes when you open that door, something else slips in. Something that likes to watch the vulnerable moments of learning. That chilling feeling that lack of privacy is a darkness we carry with us, even in the safest of spaces. And that's all for this episode of Tuning Down for Terror. Thank you very much for lending your ear, and be sure to subscribe and follow. And we'll be back next time with more tales from the quietest parts of the road. Until then, good night.